What is clearly a scam but is so normalized people don't notice? Those Keymaster games that usually have something like a switch and a pair of beats and stuff. I work part-time at an arcade, and you physically cannot win a prize until the machine has taken its retail equivalent in cash. Is there any hacks to win this stuff? Mark Rober made a video about arcade games that look like they are skill-based but are actually programmed to guarantee profitability. That video took the fun out of arcades forever for me. Probably for the best, but still. Printer ink. Buy a laser printer. Expensive up front but pennies in the long run. Most come with scan fax features that comes in handy in the new work from home era. I did exactly this. Changed out from inkjet to a color laser. Pretty penny up front, long-term cost has been maybe 1% the total cost of using an inkjet long-term. I do not like saying never, but I will indicate that I am incredibly hesitant to any plans for a purchase of an inkjet for the foreseeable future. A monochrome laser is very cheap. Bought mine for $90. Far better print quality than inkjet, the toner doesn't dry up from disuse, and faster. I just paid for the privilege of setting up my router. My cable company recently started trying to charge me for my router, which I own. I got a notice saying we noticed an error in billing, and we will be charging you for the equipment rental starting in December. The diamond industry, specifically as it relates to jewelry. Everything that the average person knows about it stems from propaganda and advertisements created by De Beers. They aren't rare, they aren't worth what you pay for them, they don't appreciate in value and are a terrible investment. They aren't special. My great-uncle worked for De Beers as a diamond courier, bringing them from SA to London. They artificially restricted the amount of diamonds they send out so as to inflate the price. Same thing happens with gold. If a gold mine finds a huge deposit of gold, you can bet it's being sectioned off and left alone, so not to flood the market. Until the Australians and Canadians opened up their diamond mines and forced their hand very quickly, De Beers fell from controlling 90% of the rough diamond trade in the 1980s to 29.5% in 2019. Essay? This is a guess, but based on the topic of discussion, probably South Africa. San Andreas it is. Great username. I was sorry to see his death at the end of Blood Diamond. Ink cartridges. Printer companies make barely any profit off of actual printers, they're just vessels to make you buy unreasonably priced cartridges. Yeah, if I ever need something printed out, which is super rare, I just go to a print store or something. A lot of documents are also just PDF apostrophes now, so I'll just sign it on my tablet and email it back. They never seem to care. Print shops definitely are the best way to get around this problem. Libraries as well. Third-party cartridges are the solution. Paid €10 for a complete refill for my second-hand €30 inkjet. Payday loans. I used to work as a debt collector for a payday loan company in the UK. I was not a very good debt collector. People used to find out about the various loopholes that stopped interest being added really easily. I worked there just before Christmas. It is the job that made me go back into education because my soul. Mr. Incredible? That you? Read my fricking mind in the future, didn't you? Took 10 whole seconds to understand what op is really implying. Then I had the same realization as you. Ticketmaster. Yes, basically scammers adding huge marks up, but making it impossible to use anyone else. Not to mention allowing mass purchasing bots to scoop up tickets, only to offer a third-party market platform for those same scalpers to resell the tickets at increased prices to the fans actually going to the show. TM takes a cut twice. They had to settle a suit for this because Livenation owns Ticketmaster, and they were letting bots buy all their tickets on one platform and resell on the other at inflated prices, allowing them to collect double the amount of those fees, which are also a scam. Rent-to-own furniture and appliances. Worked in solar construction for a while where you would travel to the middle of nowhere to work on a site, so they gave us a housing fund to rent a place during the job. People would get the rent-to-own furniture and charge it to the housing money as a living expense. Company was cool with it, and once it was paid off the worker got to keep it. Yeah, I lived in some company-provided housing for a few months once, and they furnished a place with rent-to-own stuff. So situations where rent-to-own actually makes sense to exist. They're just pretty niche and only represent a fraction of their business. My husband had knee surgery. People had suggested a recliner, but we knew so much better than them. Per second. Scientific journal memberships. Where academics pay journals to publish their papers, which are then peer-reviewed by volunteers, and the journals themselves are then sold by subscription. Not to mention that a huge part of scientific research, breakthroughs, and discoveries are often subsidized by the taxpayer. So even though I helped indirectly fund their research through the NIH, I can't read the results without a $200 monthly subscription. I'm sure some academic ethicist could probably speak to this issue in more detail than I can, but that's always bothered the out of me. Many NIH grants require the work becomes open access within a year. Also check out ResearchGate. You can find a researcher and directly request private copies. Most people will provide them to you. Often, the point isn't the not noticing, but the having a lack of better alternatives. What's worse is when the companies try to do right and we force them back into scamming. Stores like JCPenney sell $10 shirts for $20 at a %50 discount. They also inflate the price of belts, wallets, and underwear, but then lower the price of pants. It all evens out, but the customer gets the satisfaction of getting a deal. Once they tried to get rid of that with a fair and square pricing strategy, but it almost bankrupted the company and it never fully recovered. People don't want to buy cheap stuff. They want to buy expensive stuff at a discount, so they feel like they're getting a bargain. As someone who used to frequent JCP, fair and square was rarely as cheap as the original MSRP coupons. While I don't doubt people want to feel they're getting a great bargain and that it contributed to the failure, customers used to the coupon model no longer were. So much this. It's so popular on here to talk about how JCP tried to use honest pricing, but people who were tricked by coupons wouldn't shop there anymore. Those people are all just quoting each other and actually know absolutely nothing about how it really went.